Hello, everybody. I guess we are live, so I'm gonna just wait for a couple of minutes for people to join in and for me to add Richa into this live session. So excited to do this on Monday morning. How you guys doing? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, I'm gonna just try and add Richa in the live. Okay, let's see if this works. So how is everybody doing? Happy mid-August, happy Monday. Yeah, if you are catching us live, just come and say a hi. And if you're catching us on replay, we would love to say you hi then. So, hi Richa, I'm just gonna add you in. I think it's working. Are you guys able to hear me right? Okay. So Richa, I've just tried to add you in. Oh yes.
All right, not bad. Hi, Amrita.
I
How are you?
love when. Sorry, Richa, I couldn't hear you.
I said, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, and I love when the tech stuff works because sometimes it can just get a little crazy.
I know. I think we are doing good. In one
Yes,
go, we are gone live.
absolutely, which is, I think, a win. Considering all the lives and the technical glitches that I've had in the past, so this I think by far is the smoothest.
Oh, not bad, not bad. So, is my voice clear? I hope I'm audible.
Absolutely. I can see you properly. I can hear you properly. We can just wait for a second. Guys, if you can hear us properly, if you can see us, just let us know in the comments so that we can begin. Hi, Ramya. Okay, I think we're good to go.
All right.
Hi. Okay. So, welcome, Richa, for this amazing live session. And I'm so excited, and I'm sure the moms here are excited to hear about you, what you do, and also about the amazing expert opinion and the talk that you're sharing with all of us. I'm truly excited for that.
No, I'm equally I would say excited, Amrita. We've been chatting up, we've met up in last few days, and it's been so exciting to kind of
Of course.
meet like-minded moms and entrepreneurs, and glad that we could find a connect, a common connect around books and kids. And so I'm excited to be here today to kind of really talk about something which we are very passionate about, which is children's books. So
Yes.
I'm sure next few minutes are going to be quite a invigorating discussion. Maybe inputs coming from your side, and let's hope we have something which we can answer once the audience joins in.
Of course, we have 16 moms watching us live, which is amazing. And so I will just tell you what Richa is here to talk about. So she's going to talk to us about, of course, the magic of books and especially picture books, because I feel children love picture books irrespective of the age, isn't it, Richa?
Very true, very true. I think that's the governing idea. The stories are so universal. The common language that irrespective of age and gender and all the differences that we have is the love for stories and the common universal emotions that they trigger in each one of us. So I think it surpasses age groups definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think even we as adults, like as parents, love picture books, right?
Yes, yes. I think these are, I would say these are the most adorable, things which have been created, and that's the kind of entire, the discussion that we thought we should have today. That how, picture books are not just meant for the younger kids. These are, so many amazing writers have and illustrators have come together to create picture books on topics which are going to transcend, age groups, and such interesting ideas and topics that they really touch upon, which I would say even adults or the books which are written for older age group, they use so many words to explain a simple concept, and how these master, writers and illustrators have been able to depict through, simple mode of storytelling, which is picture books.
Of course. So
So
as I think, as cliche as it may sound, picture speaks louder than words, they say, right?
yes, yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And for all those who do not know about Richa, Richa is the amazing co-founder of this beautiful brand called GetLit, and we would love to know more about GetLit. But she's super passionate about books and children and reading, and I just feel so blessed when I meet mom entrepreneurs who can kind of join the dots and create a passion out of something so amazing and so unique. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey, how GetLit actually formed, and if you can just tell us a little bit about that.
No, no, absolutely. I think you rightly, said it's the passion which triggered the entire, kind of starting point for us. GetLit has been, co-created with a lot of love and affection by me and my co-founder Priya, and
Okay. Is
so
Priya in the group?
she has, I think, just sent a request because she was like, how am I going to
Oh,
be part of this FB life?
okay. So
So
while you are talking, let me see if I see a request. I'm going to add it in. So
yes,
yeah.
please do that. That would be amazing.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I was saying, so this is two moms coming together. We both have, kids, and we are so much into books and reading, and we, in fact, our journey started off around 7 years back, as as the Writers Bug Book Club, because we said we both love books. Let's get a book club together where we just get to kind of, the ultimate dream of every book lover is to have a a coffee shop and a cozy nook, with the book, and that's all that you need in this world. And that's how that
Absolutely.
so that was a simple trigger for us. And when we started kind of doing, and the book club still continues, it meets every fortnight on Thursday. And
Okay.
so as mothers, we said, okay, why not have, the way we love books, let's get something created for our kids together. And I think, as all mavericks or passionate people are, they don't think too much. They love an idea and they just dive into it. So way back in 2012, we said we're going to host a literary festival for our kids, and that's how the
Okay.
entire journey began for us. And the Writers Bug came into existence, in a big way as the first literary festival. And that time in Mumbai, for children, nobody was hosting a lit fest, and we don't come with a publishing background. So we said, let's just kind of get people going. We had mothers like us volunteering, coming together, and we hosted a huge 2 day festival for children. And we had publishers like Curry Tales, Penguin, Fun Okay Please. I think just through word of mouth and the fact that somebody is creating a unique space for children just came together, and that's how the entire thing began. And
Oh my.
for last 7 years, we've created multiple platforms, Amrita, where we want to celebrate stories, allowing children to kind of really interact with authors and illustrators. And during this entire work that we were doing, working with various authors, illustrators, storytellers, publishers, we realized that in India, I think there are a lot of passionate parents like you and us, who really believe in the power of stories and books. But
Of course.
we really don't have a very easy space, the way, you need a reading ecosystem, you need people talking about books, and it's not something which can be done in isolation. And that's when we said we're going to kind of use technology to really make bring attention on to these amazing books which are being written in Indian space by various publishers. And all these publishers honestly are on their own trying to kind of really further that cause of stories for children. We've got Tulika, we've got Tara Books, Dugbill, Fun Okay Place, Miss Muchi. So you talk about it, and these are passionate people really entrenched in this that vision or the drive to kind of really make books accessible. And so GetLit was created where we said we're going to get all these publishers and great content on the platform. So it's available on your website. You can read books on the website, or you can download the app on iPad or Android tablet. And it also uses, the focus is on see the focus is completely on exciting children about reading. So we've used
Mm,
game elements, so they earn points for every page that they read. They can write
right.
reviews. We've got something very interesting called as book dares, which are multiple choice questions on the books. So they love
Oh,
earning a
so like
trophy,
quizzes and
like a quiz, yeah, and they
yeah.
love getting those trophies.
Wow.
We've seen children,
Right.
some of the kids read because they want to get a trophy, because they want to get access to that correct answer.
Right.
So we've experimented with a lot of game elements to kind of make that entire process of reading very exciting for kids. And yeah, so that's the vision is that GetLit will be that one place, single place, where anybody who's interested in accessing children's stories, where children want to share their own stories, publish their work, get feedback on their work, that GetLit is going to
Right.
be that space for them.
Wow. I mean, you have such a beautiful long-term vision, and it's amazing, Richa.
I think being a parent, it allows you to really think from the perspective of your kids, because
Of
this is
course.
what we would want for our kids. We would want
Yeah.
them to have their own safe space where they can
Right.
without being that there are no right and wrongs. It's about telling
Mm.
your own story confidently, and comfortably. I think that's the space that we really want to create. So we I think that's what keeps us going.
Lovely. And now coming back to our beautiful talk. So, do you want to start about picture books and, give some beautiful pointers to moms here?
No, absolutely. So we'll stick to the agenda. We are going to talk about the beauty of the picture books. So
Yeah.
I think many of us really look at them as the starting point for a younger kid, introduction to the world of books. But
Right.
our perspective is that these act as triggers, as conversation point on a lot of topics, for a kid, for an adult. And picture books are one segment which can, as I earlier mentioned, can transcend age groups. So uh, I'll give you a few examples, because I think let's not take away, from the beauty of the picture book. So, for example, we've got this one beautiful book called The Lonely King and Queen. Now, this book has been written and illustrated by Deepa Balsava, and it
We love
talks
her.
yeah, and if you've seen this book, it has got beautiful illustrations, and
Yeah.
it talks about a very relevant topic, which is adoption. Now it's a tough
Yes.
subject to talk about, again, not just about the younger kids, but as progressively go ahead. So I would say, so this book basically talks about these a young couple, which is you can
Mm-hmm.
relate to them very easily, because they're just like you and us. And so they are kind of going about their daily activities. You can see the little crown on top of their head, which is very beautifully kind of talking about that they are the king and the queen of their own world. And so
Right.
they're going about their daily activities, and one day having tea, they suddenly realize that we are very lonely. And so if you look at this beautiful imagery where they're really confused and feeling lonely, and uh, and then suddenly they hear a voice, and it comes from a distant place, and they're like intrigued that where is this voice coming from. And then they start looking for the source of this voice. So this book very beautifully and very gently takes you through that, their journey, their confusion. They're arriving at the point that they're really lonely, and they're trying to, this voice is calling out to them. And then they go through, they're looking everywhere inside their house, under the under the bed, around their pots. And then they say, maybe the voice is coming from outside, and they move out. And then they kind of follow that, the search continues, and they go up the stream, under the over the hill. And then they reach the source of that voice, and that's where they find their kid, they find their child. And it brings in the utmost happiness back into their life. So I thought the beauty of this book was about simplifying such a important and pertinent subject called adoption, where
Adoption.
it's the child who is bringing the happiness to to their parents. and it's not preachy. It uses beautiful illustrations. You feel so warm and connected to this couple, the parents. So I would say this is one very beautiful example of dealing with a very tough subject in an amazing way. So this is my the first example. Then we have got this book on GetLitt. So this
Okay.
is something which is and then another topic which is very close to as a parent you would relate to is uh, so this is a book called Sit Still. So
Sit
this is a
still.
book,
Okay.
Sit Still. Okay, so this is about this young girl, young toddler, who is jumping around, who is up to something every second of the day. So she is jumping on the bed, standing up on a head, and her parents are like she's climbing the windows, and her parents are like going crazy that why can't she sit still at one place. Then she goes
Right.
to the school, she's busy sharpening her pencil, she wants to go to the toilet, and she's up to something, she can't be at one place. And then her
Yeah.
parents are little troubled that why can't our kid really be at one place. And and you can relate to this little girl so much because it's part of your own childhood,
Of
that
course.
entire every time that you've been told why can't you sit still, everybody
Yeah.
has lost patience with you when you were a younger
Of course.
a young
Yeah.
kid. And so this is such a relatable child, not just for your own
Right.
kid but as an adult. And then something beautiful happens. She has a it's beautifully illustrated, all the action. So I would say they have depicted that the energy that this young girl has very nicely. And then she has this young teacher, a yoga teacher, who comes to the school. And that's when she kind of really gets to do things which channelize her energy, find a space for her own, where she's able to do her yoga posture, she can do her dances, and she gets into the dance, and
Right.
then she's so happy to be jumping around because now she has found her own space. And I found again this was a book which is not just for toddlers, but again across adults and age groups, because
Of course.
it talks about that, okay, this is the line of this is the code of conduct which as knowingly or unknowingly as a society that we impose everywhere. And we say that
Yeah.
this is what you need to follow, and if you digress from here, something is wrong with you. And whereas this basically talks about that each one would have their own way of doing things, and then finally you find your own space, and that's what makes you happy because you've been accepted the way you are. And it goes for
Yeah.
adults, right? We are, anytime that we move away from doing something on our own, you will always be pulled down to know you follow the
Of
median line. And
yes.
so I think it's a huge more inspirational, kind of a very subtly given but
Yeah.
beautifully depicted.
Right. And we have moms asking us few questions. So I'll just say hi to few moms. Hey Shraddha, hi Priyanka. Okay, Vaishali is asking if you can name the two books that you just showed along with their authors. If you can just
Yes.
let her know exactly the titles of the books.
Yes, we will. In fact, I'll list it down after this conversation. But
Okay,
the first book that I
awesome.
was referring was The Lonely King and Queen by Deepa Balsawa. And
Mhm.
this is the second book that I was referring to, Sit Still, which has been published by Bismuchi, and it has been written by Karishma. So
Okay.
once I think we could list down these entire list
Sure.
of books for everyone to
Absolutely.
kind of really look at.
Yes. Yes.
So, Amrita, tell me, has something triggered, any picture book that has triggered for you, something which is a picture book, but actually you can kind of relate to it even now?
Oh man, so many, and like I have been reading to Ritvik right when he was like, I don't know, 6 months or something. So it's been a beautiful journey. He's 6.5 now.
Yeah.
And he loves, I don't know if you've heard about Aliki. He loves
Okay.
all picture books by Aliki. And something like No David,
Yes. Oh, yes.
yeah, even though he is 6.5, he will love, those books still.
Yes.
And
No, and it's
now what?
no,
Yeah,
David is
please
such
go
a
ahead.
beautiful example because again it uses no words at all. It's just no David through the book, but the amount
Absolutely.
of energy that it shows, and as a sometimes you relate to it as a parent, and sometimes you relate to it as your own younger self.
Of course, of course.
So
Of course. And now what Ritvik does, because he loves to draw and color and all of that. So he look at the pictures and then draw also. So he's kind of expanding the beauty of this book. So he loves the movie Marley, and so I picked up all the Marley and Me book
okay.
series for him. And so he'll just ask me to read aloud, and then he'll draw the pictures. So I think it's such a fun way
Fun way.
for children
Absolutely.
to get creative too.
Yes, no, no. As I said, these are the triggers, and they can go
Yeah.
in any direction. These are just the starting point. It could be the pictures, it could be the expression,
Of
that you're,
course.
able to relate to,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you can kind
Okay.
of
One more. Yeah. Sure. Go ahead, please.
no,
No,
no.
no. As I was thinking, there's one more. Amma kahan hai? The Hindi version.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where's
My
Amma?
God, Ritvik, Ritvik loves that. And then he'll say, no, you have to name the boy of the book as Ritvik. So, Ritvik ki amma kahan hai? So we have fun with that.
Yes. In fact, this book also they haven't in sit still. The little girl has not been given a name, but then I think that's the beauty of the book that and I think that's such an important point which you mentioned that children want to be part of those stories because
Yeah.
that's these stories make you feel that I am not alone. People like me, there's so many who are. This is my story, so that's what kind of connects you to that story. I remember when I was a young kid and I was not even too young, but like in fifth grade. I still remember my mathematics teacher. He would make us sit in groups of six, and he had narrated this Alibaba and Charles Chore, where each one of us were the characters in that story,
Yes.
and it made us feel like the heroes of a story. And what
Yeah.
better way to kind of really feel confident when you're
Of
saying,
course.
oh, I am I am the hero. I decide to do something about the story that I want to create. And I think
Yeah.
it's a very empowering thought. And
Of
so in fact,
course.
another book which I would it's a classic book. I don't know whether to call this a picture book or something as an illustrated book. So this is a book which has been kind of narrated and illustrated by the famous Gond artist Bhaju Sham. And
Okay.
so the book, the London Jungle Book, basically talks about, it's for me it's full of metaphors. So it talks about when for the first time he went to London, leaving his village, and he went ahead, and how he perceived the changing scenario and the experiences, and how he has metaphorically depicted those experiences in this book. So I'll give you an
Right.
example. It's such a triggering, and it talks about the
Oh, I
perspective.
love the illustrations. Can you just show us the illustrations? It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Oh wow.
So in fact, so this is where he says that the mind travels faster than a train. And so this is what he's depicting, that your
Right.
mind travels so fast, and this is so beautifully that he's for him, train is the fastest kind of a transportation vehicle
Yeah.
available, and
Yeah.
that itself gives you the reference point. And it's so true that you can be at any place just through your imagination. And he has so nicely shown this, the journey of the mind. He says it's the journey of the mind. The painting is about my train journey, but the train wasn't important to me at all, so I have drawn it small. This is the Gond way of thinking and painting. What is important should get more space. So it's so philosophical, and it kind of you feel inspired to maybe even depict your own life's journey through visuals. And then he
Right.
talks about this is again another visual. So can you guess what this visual represents for him? And it's a wild guess. I would want you to
Wow.
do.
Okay, moms, if you can guess, just let us know in the comments. Oh wow.
So he refers to as the airport. So him,
Airport.
that airport, yeah. So he's like,
Okay.
this is like, these ants are all of us standing in the queue in front of the airport, and this airport is like this huge prey, animal of prey who's ready to absorb and consume everything. And now when you think of airport, actually it's true. It's like, all of us standing in these long queues
Yeah, cute.
trying to
Yeah.
get in. And so I thought it was a wild, kind of a metaphor that he's used, but so beautifully kind of showing the mammoth-ness that he felt when he saw a huge airport, compare especially coming from his own village. So I
Love
think
that.
this is a great way to even show children that, okay, how do you relate to certain experiences in your life. This is another
Yeah.
one, a beautiful. So this is when he sits in the aeroplane, and it's a heavy body, and an
Reminds me
aeroplane,
of
and
Dumbo.
oh, jump, absolutely, trying to take off and trying to fly. And then you can take this
Yeah.
in any direction, that your ideas are so huge, they can go in any direction that you want. And it's the impossible that's happening, right? An elephant trying to fly is an impossible thing, and he trying to fly out is also something which he considers he would have never dreamt of. so
Yeah.
um, so I find this book a keepsake. I would say, just kind of pick it up. It's a book which has been published by Tara Books, and it very nicely shows how we perceive the same things in different ways. And these could be a great trigger point for kids to say that, okay, there's an experience. You've gone down to play in the park, or your first day in school, and how would how do you relate to it? How do you express it? The
Right.
feeling, can two feelings be, kind of transcend the experience? Um, I would say this is again a great example of showing that multiple perspectives of looking at the same thing, and such a beautiful perspective, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, so we have one question here if you'd like to just pick up quickly. So, Gayatri wants to know more ideas for reusing outgrown but not ready to give them away yet picture books in a creative way.
Gayatri, that's such a, I would say, I think as a book lover, you wouldn't want to give away any of your books. So,
Yeah.
picture books, especially. So, I would say that, like, these are few of the examples where you've shown that you can pick up those picture books where you found that maybe the illustration is a great, thing that you would want to kind of talk about, or there's a storyline, or there's a character, that you can use with your kids. Because as the kids are growing older, you would realize that they, every time a child will come back from school, a typical thing a parent would ask is, how was your day, what did you do in school? And as they grow older, they're so much into their own world that their descriptions become smaller and smaller. And as a parent, you're like, have that angst of, I would want to know more. And I would say use these pictures to kind of just during night time is a great way to again trigger, even if they're 8-year-old or 10-year-old. I would say picture books never go out of fashion, because use
Yeah.
them to talk about different things, and trigger conversations around it. So
Yeah.
I would say pick up a character or the visualization. They become a great reference point for even for art. And you can kind of use them to write stories. Okay, this is something which, like we spoke about sit still. So that's something, have you been made, at any point of time where you felt in school that you were made to sit quietly in a corner, where how did you feel about it? What was your experience of it? So it can start as a writing activity, because that's what we do. We use picture books extensively in our creative writing programs. And each of these books that we've spoken about, you will be amazed at
Yeah.
the kind of responses that you'll get from children. So use them as writing aids also, and discussion points. Don't give away. So pick up the picture books which you find something which have really kind of felt connected to. Keep them from all these activities, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I can so relate because, books like Gajapati, Kulapati, like even if you feel your child is outgrown, you won't feel like giving it away, right?
Giving it away. Absolutely. In fact, even now, my 9-year-old, he's like, again, another example could be you could use it for storytelling. Let them share their story in their own words.
Yeah.
And that's a reverse, kind of articulation of their ideas. So you're right. And Gajapati is such a adorable, elephant. You really don't want to share it with anyone. So you're right. So I would say that. So we've got
Yes.
another question. Some suggestions for 7-year-old
Uh,
boy.
yes. Yes.
Okay. So I would say I don't know at what reading level your 7-year-old is, but Dugbill has got a series of chapter books called as whole books. So you could, there's a Pay to Pumpkin series, again a series of books about school life and how small I would say the problems a group of boys that they feel, they have to remove this tooth has to come out, and the adventures that they go through, how to pull out the tooth, and the amount of the preparation that is being done. I think a 7-year-old would definitely find, kind of feel related to. There's another book called Fakhruddin's Fridge. Again, I would
Can you
it's a
repeat that? You
book.
breaking.
Yeah, it's a book called Fakhruddin's Fridge. So it's a almost in the middle of
Okay.
a picture book and an illustrated storybook. And so this is a story about this young boy who is he's called he's always troubled with, he's always in that state of problems, that okay, oh, there is no electricity, oh, there's no electricity, how am I going to, there'll be no light, and then I will not be able to study, and if I don't study I will fail. And so he's always frantically, he's called frantic fakru. And so then they'll so he's in the class, if his papers are finished, he's like, oh, I can't write, and if I don't write, what will happen to me? So he's always looking at problems in situations, panicking at every stage. So that's again a very interesting book, I would say, as a picture book also, but also for a young boy. So this is I'll show you Fakhruddin's Fridge. So this is this boy, Fakhru, who lives in Bhopal, and so he is worried about everything. So he's then one day he realizes that his fridge is conked off, and it's summertime, and he cold water in the summer. So it's a beautiful book about
Okay.
problem solving and how do you really look beyond the problem and go beyond the problem. And how he kind of really, his mother says, okay, no, doesn't matter if our food, we'll cook food only for one day, or we'll go and put our food in the neighbor's fridge. And he's still panicking. No, how will I get my cold water? How will I, survive my summers?
Okay.
And it's a beautiful narration of how he really overcomes his. So see, this is his, worried about his fridge and his cold water. Beautifully illustrated by Tanvi Bhatt. And
Okay.
so his parents are calm. So I would say a 7-year-old, this would be also a very interesting book for a 7-year-old. And so these are few things, Doug Bill's whole book, and this is
Yeah.
something which comes to my mind immediately.
Wow. And we can always, like, if we have more questions later on, we can always go back and answer them. But I think we've pretty much answered them all. This was so amazing, Richa. If you have any more points to add, please go ahead. And we would also love to know how moms could know more about GetLit and, a little bit about that.
Yes. No, so as I said, the goal of GetLit has been to kind of make it accessible across geographies. I don't think the focus is more on getting kids excited about reading. So GetLit is accessible on a website. You could check out getlit.co, GetLitt.co. We have a very active blog. We've got a Facebook page, GetLit Now. So we keep listing out book list on various topics for various age groups, and a lot of interviews with the authors and publishers to kind of really give.
So all of this is inside the GetLit website, the interviews and.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So we
Okay.
also publish it back on our Facebook page, but you could check
Sure.
out getlit.co/blog. That's very
Okay.
active. Even writing tips. How do you really get kids into, kind of, we've posted blogs on how to write a rap song. Again,
Yeah.
we think poetry is something which children just love. Kind of, they love to express themselves. They have so much of fun writing poetry, and I think rap song was something which really picked up pace when Gully Boy came in, and we said we'll kind of show them how to do step by step, writing of a rap song. So I would say, do check out these. It's regularly being updated. Almost every day we have something new coming up. And as I mentioned, you could check out all the books. We've got around more than 350 books on the platform, picture books
Wow.
up to middle grade. And we've got around 14 publishers publishing their content on GetLit. We've got Amar Chitra Katha, we've got Tinkle Comics, we've Dugbill, Tulika Picture Books, Miss Mochi, Pickle Yolk. So these are many of these books are award-winning books, not just in within India but internationally. So really, as a parent, you really don't have to look far. The focus should be more about how do you really make it exciting for kids. We've shared few ideas here. In fact, we would love to hear some ideas how you use creatively, books to get kids excited. I think that would be a great way to,
Yeah.
share knowledge.
Of course. So we have a couple of questions. So Vaishali is asking, any book you would suggest for a shy child?
Okay,
Is
so
any
yes, I would. I've got we've got two books by Tulika. One is called Ari. So Ari is
Okay.
actually about a child who is very, who wants to act in a school play. And so this is the book which has been written by Vaishali Shroff. And Ari is a shy little boy, and he's really eager to participate in the school play where they're looking for a lion. And of course he's shy to raise his hands and volunteer for that. But so this is how he's kind of imagining himself on the stage. Uh,
Oh, love the illustrations.
yeah, it is so vibrant. And then he
Yeah,
watches from the
very.
sidelines when everybody's preparing for the play. And then finally at home, how he kind of really tries to become the strong lion, and how his mother kind of helps him to do that. And again, I think a very beautifully told story. Many of our kids really don't really go out and say, raise their hands and say, I want to be there, but they want to be part of the whole thing. And how and again, I would say they still get to achieve their dreams. Right here is he in front of the mirror, acting out the role. And I would say this is a beautiful book which every kid will relate to. Another book which I would say is called Clumsy.
Okay.
It's again a very nicely illustrated, vibrantly illustrated book about this little girl who is and again you can relate to it because she's a young girl, and she topples over things, which is so normal, right? We all as young kids just
Yeah.
slow in tying up laces, and you're unknowingly things get toppled over because you just kind of nudged them. And so it talks about the various words that we use to kind of sometimes unknowingly call out our kids with. So here this is a slow coach grumbled her father as she fumbled with her shoes. Careless, moaned grandfather as she knocked down his walking stick. And these words are so, they hurt you because, and suddenly you realize that maybe sometime you would have used these words for your kids, right? And she made things wobble, tumble, and shatter. People complained, scolded, and teased. And then this is a story about how people are talking about sticky fingers, her friends, her teachers, her grandparents. And so she goes through it. It's a story which these are the words that are being used for her.
Oh,
And then her grandmother gives her a box of color paints. So this is such a This is a, when she's hugging her mother, and she says, "You have nothing to say."
Love chemistry.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is this just touches your heart. And then she says, so she gets these. She's very imaginative child, and then she gets these box of colors from her grandmother, and then she starts to draw and paint, and she finds her own space.
Space. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Beautiful.
I would say again, it's a beautifully narrated. I wouldn't say that the end is very touching. I hope you get to read this book. And
So this
and
one is which publication, Richa?
this is Tulika. This is Tulika.
Tulika. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, this is available on GetLitt, but yeah,
Okay.
it's a hard picture book also, so you could kind of pick it up
Right.
either ways. But again, a very beautiful story. Again, not
Oh,
preachy, but it just you feel so connected with the kid, because either you've been that kid or you've
right.
been on the other side where you've called out, and so I would say this is
Yeah.
something which two books which come to my mind immediately, which you could kind of
Sure.
use with kids.
Sure.
And
We have one last question, Richa. Should we take that up before we wind
absolutely,
up?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So Asha is asking, can you suggest any book which talks about school is important?
Okay, so I have a different perspective. I would say if you show kids that school is fun, the rest follows. So we've got entire series of books which just talk about the school life. It talks about the good as well as the bad. As I spoke about, the three books of P2 Pumpkin that's entrenched in school life. There's another book called Timmy in Tangles, and
Can you repeat
uh,
that?
Timmy in Tangles. It's again
Okay.
a
Okay.
chapter book by Doug Bill, and so this is a complete imagination of this girl Timmy, who thinks she's the Maharaja of one place, and she wraps up her head with a towel, and she wears a bathrobe, and she tells her mother, "I'm the Maharaja. Maharajas don't go to school." But her mother says, "You have to go to school. There's no way out of it." So in the same attire, she goes to school the next day. It's a beautiful, you want to join, hug her, Timmy. She's a
Like
rock star.
hilarious book.
Yes. and and then she goes, and then of course she has the imaginative world, and of course she has a lot of stuff. She loves idlis, and she can't think properly until she has something crunchy. So chips are her favorite food. So I would say we've got a huge list of books on schools and friendships, and have
Right.
those cracking codes and trying to find out spies. So there's another two book series called Moin the Monster, where there's actually a monster who's a very naughty monster who comes and lives with Moin, and how because of that Moin gets into trouble. And so I would say any book which shows that school is so much fun and it's crazy, I think basically leads to the point that school is important, because if you won't go to school, you will miss out on all the fun.
Right. Okay. So there's one more question. Should we answer that? So Neha is asking, with so many books like Clumsy from Tulika, I feel it's more of a message for grown-ups, and found it difficult to explain kids who never face that scenario. Do you feel the same? And how to answer kids' question for such books?
So uh, so Neha, you're right.
I love that question.
No, absolutely. So you're right. It's very easy for an adult to kind of relate to it, but when you're sharing
Right.
this story to a child, you're not. It's you're sharing with them just like any other story, the way you would do a any other picture book, or your Cinderella, or not Cinderella, but any popular book, because the
Yeah.
goal of anytime that you're doing a story, or sharing a book with a kid, is not always to have a trigger a conversation. It could
Hmm.
just be, I'm sharing a story, and if it
Yeah.
it
And for the
triggers
fun of
something,
it.
yeah, it's a beautifully illustrated book, you're talking about it, and this is how what happens. So the child might just feel related, because as I said, these books trigger very universal emotions. You will feel empathy for the kid, right? So any kid who's reading, or any adult who's reading, you feel empathy, and that's great. It's not that it has to lead to that somebody, if the child hasn't felt or had an experience. For example, if you look at The Lonely King and Queen, do you mean to say that we should do this book only for children who've been adopted? I don't think so. It's a book, it's a story, and it's a story which you should know about. And if if it makes you think, great. If it doesn't, stories stay with you. They will
Right.
they will be with you for life. So the purpose of these books are not necessarily to do that, but these are stories which I would want to expose my kids to, because these are different perspectives of the world. I can't give them all the experiences, but these stories will open up the world, right? That's the whole purpose of
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Agreed. Yeah, so I think we've covered it all, Richa. Thank you so much. This was amazing. This was wonderful. And I think we are over, I don't know what time is it now, but yeah, it's 12.
now, I think we were just happily talking about stories and books. We've forgotten to look
Dude,
at the time.
absolutely. And books is one such topic that you can just keep talking on and on.
Yes.
And yeah, that
There's
is
so
what we did.
much.
Yeah, I met Richa last month, and we had such a fun conversation about books and
Yeah.
a lot of amazing things. Hey Pragati, so we have you moms. So everybody who's watching, thank you so much.
Yes,
And
thank you
if
for
you
joining.
guys have if you are going to watch this on replay, and if you guys have any more questions, just
Yeah.
feel free to ask so that Richa can come back and answer. And I have put the GetLit link in the description box of this video. So if you guys want to explore it further, please do so. If you have any questions, Richa is now a part of the group, so you can
Yes.
always tag her. And I've added Priya, by the way, on.
Yeah, I know. She joined in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, feel free to ask, and yeah, I think books is such a lovely topic that I always feel so delighted to talk about it, and just
No,
have a
absolutely.
happy conversation.
Yeah, I think just in half an hour's conversation, we could talk about only four or five, but I would love to kind of continue sharing, list in the groups, something which comes new across in front of us, because as I said, for us the purpose of these stories are not just about reading as such, but it's a bigger, being able to expose ourselves and our kids to dimensions which otherwise they might miss out on. So we'll continue to do
Absolutely.
that. It's been
Yes.
so fabulous to kind of be connected here, and you've got a great group, and amount of work that you're doing is absolutely great. So I'm so
Thank
happy
you.
that we met, Amrita, and that we could have
Yes.
this conversation along with all the lovely mothers out here. So I hope we can kind of continue to interact with them.
Of course, of course. And thank you so much, Richa, for coming here and talking to all of us. It was so lovely. And yeah, thank you, mom. So bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.